welcome to the house. That is, of course, the Alumni House. I'm your host, Matt.
Now I'm the Quacker.
Quacker. Okay. He doesn't know I'm going to ask this question, listeners. So surprise, Quacker. What is your all-time favorite sports movie? There's a couple rules. You cannot say Rudy. You cannot say Remember the Titans or Friday Night Lights. And you cannot say Radio. Go.
Wild Limitations, because
It's not Wild Limitations. It's not Wild Limitations, and I'll explain why. Rudy is barely a sports movie. Football is the backdrop, as is Remember the Titans, because Remember the Titans is a movie about the power of sports within segregation. Okay, and then Radio is about the overcoming of something. I would even venture to say that We Are Marshall is only barely a sports movie. That's why I put these limitations on.
Okay.
Friday Night Lights I just put on there because I feel like that's low-hanging fruit that people always pick. There is a correct answer, by the way.
Yeah, whatever one I pick is my favorite. That's my correct answer. I'm struggling to remember the name of it. It's one with Dennis Quaid where he's the high school baseball coach.
Oh,
where he was a pitcher.
Bull Durham or The Natural?
No.
The Rookie?
Oh man. Yes, I think that's it.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I can tolerate that. But the actual correct answer is either, there's one of two. Either The Mighty Ducks or Miracle.
Both
That's
are
what
good.
I was looking for.
Love them both.
But I will say The
I'm on
Natural.
IMDb right now.
Yeah, the Natural, The Rookie, Bull Durham, all of those are great movies. Yeah. So the reason I limited Remember the Titans is because Remember the Titans is an all-time classic. But that's like saying, "Hey Quacker, what's your favorite time travel movie?" And you responding to me, Back to the Future. Well, okay, give me a different one, because that's kind of like, hey, what's your favorite wet liquid? Water. Okay. You know what I mean?
Beer.
Okay, beer.
What
All right.
was The Rookie?
The Rookie.
And that was 2002. I can't believe it's been that long ago that came out.
There's a movie that I saw, I have a Samsung TV in my living room, and when you turn it on, it just goes to the Samsung channels.
Yes, I hate that.
I don't mind it because I'll just turn it on. So did you say you deleted it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it keeps coming back up, and I keep deleting it. But
well, yeah. I have LG in all the rooms that matter in my house, because I have the OLED, the actual OLED, not the Samsung fake OLED. But in my living room we have an OLED, or I mean a Samsung, and there was a movie that came on one of the Samsung channels one time that I watched the first half of with Kevin Costner that I really enjoyed, but I never finished, called Draft Day. And it was pretty cool. Now I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't.
Clark Kent in it.
What's that?
It had Clark Kent in it.
Which one?
Tom Welling.
Okay, so it had the actor from Smallville. There were about 15 Clark Kents. So, I didn't even know that. So, nice little connection there. All right, so we're off to a wild start. This is, of course, the Alumni House Podcast Week 10 preview. So we are going to spend this episode talking about the so-few games of import this weekend, because there are not very many. But here's the cool thing. That normally means something really unexpected is going to happen. So here's to hoping for that. And by the way, we did not.
The unexpected is already happening.
Yeah. So I mean on a national scale, not just where the conferences we cover, but and Quacker will get us updated on that in just a minute. But I did not update everyone last night, but Quacker and I both went 7-2, so our record deficit has not changed. We, of course, each missed 2 games. And both of us actually came close to missing only 1 game. But it didn't happen for either one of us. So, yeah. So those two games that came down to the wire were interesting. So before we jump into the games, Quacker, why don't you hit us with the news and notes?
Yeah. So only a couple since we had quite a few last night. It looks like LSU will soon be parting ways with AD Scott Woodward as well. Knew this was probably in the air. I honestly think this is a mistake. This is reactionary.
I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like that's a mistake. That he's getting blamed for a lot of stuff that isn't his fault.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but just what I've read today.
Well, he's an LSU alumnus. He's Louisiana through and through. He's from Baton Rouge. He greatly cares about and he's hired 2 national champion coaches. Kim Mulkey and Jay Johnson. Yeah, it was a swing and miss on Brian Kelly, but you can't control the coach coming to your to your school and kind of.
But also
everything I hear, he kind of has taken it easy since he's gotten there. Like he wasn't completely bought in on being in Baton Rouge.
Well, but like if you're being completely objective, right? Outside of diehard LSU fans who think they know everything, and I'm not talking bad about LSU fans. I mean, every fan base has this group that think they know everything, right? So outside of this group of people, what percentage of people thought Brian Kelly to LSU was a mistake? I feel like it's like less than 1%. I feel like most people thought that was a great hire all the way around,
Yeah, like one of the guys that we both I had never listened to him until recently, but Josh Pate, I was watching some of his stuff on it, and he was like, I was completely okay with the hire. I was all behind it. And the more that went on over the first couple of years, he kind of was like, all right, I'm pushing away on this one.
Sure.
So, I mean, you see that first season, they went 10-2, were one half away from a playoff berth. I mean, they played Georgia in this SEC championship game. This is Georgia's second season in their back-to-back run. That was an incredible Georgia team. That's when we first saw a little bit of Nussmeier, of Garrett Nussmeier, because he played that entire second half and he balled out. I mean, he had almost 300 yards passing in a half against that Georgia defense. So that was you saw that and it was like, okay, this is good. He beat Alabama his first season, but it's kind of it's not been. It's declined instead of getting better in that time.
Well, and I think what it really is too is it's not wins and losses as much as it is state of the program, and that's one of those things you kind of have to like be paying attention to see,
Yeah.
And that's why the comp that I had last week when we talked about this, or I'm sorry, last episode when we talked about this, is Dan Mullen. Because it's not like you're firing a guy who just failed. You're firing a guy for reasons off the field. You know what I mean? And it's weird. It's odd. But the more I read about it, and you are closer physically and everything. I mean, you have a lot more people that that are LSU people and everything. Way closer to the situation than I am. But everything I've seen kind of makes me feel like Woodward is taking the fall, but it's probably really not. He's probably not the big, the onus shouldn't be on him, but it is. It seems like.
Yeah. I don't think if the university had a president that this would be happening, but the governor has gotten involved and he's very emotional with it all, and I was actually talking to my sister right before we got on and was explaining to her some of the stuff that I've kind of heard and stuff. And, because she was like, well, the taxpayers are going to be paying the buyout, and no, they're not.
Yeah,
The
the
buyout was
governor
already
said
secured
that
before.
yeah, the governor said that, and that's not true. Even if they hadn't secured it, it's still not true.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know
I
why
mean,
he said that.
in a sense, it would be because they're state funded university. It's well, I say they're state funded. They have state funded assistance, like all state public
Yeah, yeah,
universities
they
have.
have a state subsidy, but what buyout isn't
Yeah,
paid by a booster though?
right, right. So, um, yeah. So that part there, I was like, I told her that the buyout was secured before they were made the fire, and it's just they're negotiating right now on how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but even if it were the full buyout with no anything, in this instance, like, so first of all, unless Louisiana has something that no other state has, the subsidy does not apply to athletics. The subsidy for the
Yeah,
university applies to the academic institution. So there's that aspect of it. First of all, if at worst case it would come out of the university's athletic revenue, but it's not even coming out of that. And so, and that was one of the interesting things too that I thought was funny, was that when the governor said that, I was like, well, I mean, that's not real. But a lot of his comments I thought were good, but he did kind of pick on Woodward in that. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your news and notes, but this is an
no,
interesting
no,
topic.
that's
I mean,
yeah, no, and I'm okay with this because the discussion is worth having because I think me and you feel a lot of the same way here that the AD is taking the blame for something that I mean, you know, yeah, the numbers were huge, but you had to have huge numbers to get Brian Kelly away from Notre Dame.
yep.
Um, I saw a tweet
Well, and they were
today.
huge. It's a coach nobody thought could be hired away from the school he was at, too. So we need to
Yeah,
remember that. There's so much revisionist history. We talked about this with Billy Napier, people talking about how, oh, well, Florida never should have hired him, this and that and the other. What people don't want to remember is that when Florida hired Billy Napier the same year that Brian Kelly was hired, Billy Napier was the number one candidate for any job in the country at that point. Everybody wanted him who had an opening.
hmm
LSU went outside the box and got someone that nobody thought was even available. And it just so happened that neither one of them worked out. And the revisionist history is, well, Brian Kelly was never a fit, and Billy Napier's Sunbelt Billy never should have been hired. When the reality is, when that season started, nobody thought Kelly was going anywhere, and Napier was the hottest name on the market. So, you know what
yeah,
I mean? I mean, it's just, I feel like it's our duty to talk about and kind of call some of these people on the carpet, because it's like, all right, hold on a second. Yeah, Scott Frost at Nebraska was awful a few years ago. Nobody thought he was going to be awful when he got hired.
hmm
So when he leaves, don't be like, I told you that was going to happen. No, you didn't. And if you did, I want to see your crystal ball. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So sorry. I mean, that's my passion right now, is that nobody thought Kelly was going to not work out. That was an incredible hire. So you give him the bag. Why don't you give him the bag?
hmm
But now Woodward's left holding the proverbial bag, and I don't think it's right. So,
yeah. Uh, Peter Burns put out a tweet today I thought was interesting, and I probably won't be able to find it in a reasonable amount of time. But it was basically saying he wanted to see the next LSU coach. And for those who don't know, Peter Burns
huge
works
LSU fan.
for well, he graduated from LSU.
I know, but I'm not
Yeah,
saying without cause, but he's a huge LSU
yeah,
fan.
yeah. He works for the SEC network, part of the ESPN family of networks. For those who don't know, and he put out a tweet that was saying he wanted to see the next LSU coach. Like the contract was pretty brilliant the way it was written up, the way he had it written up, and it was like a $10 million sign-on bonus immediately, $1 million base salary for every year, like 4 year deal was all it was for, and then it was like incentive based, like five hundred
Yeah,
thousand dollars per win.
like they do NFL
Um,
contracts.
yeah, yeah, very very much so. He said this um would change college football forever
Well,
with
that's how they
if
should
they were
do
able
it.
to do this contract. Yeah,
I heard another thing today talking, and I didn't realize this, but apparently in the NFL, I knew this about the NFL. I didn't know it in college. In the NFL, players' agents are capped at a 3% fee. In college, there is no cap, so a player can sign an agent for a 20% fee. And I would imagine it would stand to reason that they could probably also sign a coach for a larger fee. Well, that's got to get under control, whether it's the NCAA or some new organization. All of that has got to get under control, because I think one of the things that is good about this year with Penn State, Florida, LSU, maybe Auburn deciding to hold on to a coach they're ready to get rid of because of the jobs open. Almost certainly Florida State will be looking for a new coach. One of the things that I think is good about this is there is going to be some reform in these contracts. There's going to have to be, because we talked about it last night. Had Florida fired Billy Napier before Penn State, it would have been the second or third largest buyout. I think it would have been the second, or no, maybe it was the third. Second or third largest buyout in the history of college football at $21 million. It is now the fourth or fifth already.
Yeah.
And that's, so it hasn't even been a full 2 weeks.
Yeah. And if the Florida State job comes open, it drops even more. And the LSU one drops because the Florida State buyout's even higher than the LSU
all of them
buyout.
Except for Texas A&M. They're going to stand alone for a while. Like Godsmack on their Scorpion King soundtrack. They're gonna stand
great song.
Debatable, but fair enough.
But yeah. In other news, I saw. I take this with a grain of salt, because it was off of Twitter. It was off. It looks like it was off of a fan site, but this is a site I've kind of seen breaking some stuff. It looks like James Franklin and Virginia Tech are actually in serious contract talks. So you could be seeing that come up, like that job be filled.
Wouldn't that be interesting if that was the first job filled? I mean, like you said, like I'm hesitant to believe that, because typically the way this works, you would see one of the big three jobs fill. Oh, probably all of the big three jobs fill before the smaller jobs fill. That's typically how it works. But wouldn't that be just a crazy turn of events if that turns out to be true? I mean, you talked about last night, and I hadn't really thought about it, how James Franklin might just be really the perfect fit for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Just get him stable, and we know he can do that. So if and again, I hesitate to believe that, but if it turns out to be true, I think based on what you said last night, it makes a whole lot of sense, and good for Virginia Tech for.
Yeah, I really hope it is true. I would. I have no, other than just a buddy liking them, being a fan of them. I have no feelings either way for Virginia Tech, but they're one of those programs.
On a maroon and orange pillow. Don't listen to him. I'm just joking. That's not true.
No, definitely not. But they're one of those programs that them being a good program is good for the sport.
Okay.
It's not on the level of Michigan and Ohio State and LSU and Florida or USC, but it's a smaller, whether a power 4 team. It's a smaller market, which you think of. Virginia's a huge, one of the wealthiest states, but talent wise, I mean, outside of Virginia Beach area, they're trying to draw from, other areas where
Virginia
there's a
Beach
lot of
has got
competition.
all the military, and everybody else is just wealthy, families. But
yeah,
here's what I would argue. I would say Virginia Tech. College football is better when Virginia Tech is better for our generation, right? Late Gen
Mm-hmm.
X, early millennial. Because for our generation, for most of our years of late teenage through adulthood, Virginia Tech has been relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I don't know that they speak to anybody. I don't think they speak to Gen Z. I don't think they're speaking to our parents. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
while I agree with your statement, I think that's for a select group of people that college football is better when Virginia Tech's good. However, I will concede this. They have some of the best traditions in all of college football.
Mm-hmm.
And we need these traditions to stay. We need the Red River Shootout to stay at the Texas State Fair. We need the cocktail party to stay in Jacksonville. We need Inner Sandman to stay in Blacksburg. You know, we need these things in order to keep some semblance of what was college football, because it's changing. It seems like every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else in the news and notes?
Yeah. The first open job to be filled is actually Kent State, and they hired their interim coach as the full time coach. I forget his name. I saw Pete Thamel had tweeted about it this morning. So so that's the first job off the board, which Kent State is famous for. That's where Nick Saban got his start. That was I think he played for Kent State, and then he had his first coaching job there, like as a graduate assistant, and maybe like his first paid job was as a defensive backs coach or something like that. But so first one's off the board. Congratulations to them. They got their guy. So
Yeah.
um
All right. So we stretched out the news and notes because we don't have a ton to talk about tonight because there are a lot of games. But one thing that we're going to start the show with that Quacker and I, it's near and dear to both of our hearts, are the service academies. So this is the second leg that we're about to talk about of the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. Air Force and Navy played already, and Navy won that game, so 34-31. But Army is headed to Colorado to play Air Force this year, and I actually know a guy. And when I say know a guy, my nephew is good friends with a guy who's on the Air Force roster, but he's a freshman, so I was looking to see if he's active for this game, because that would be cool. But what are your thoughts on this game?
It's just Army is picked to win by they're betting favorites going in by a point and a half. Neither team is very good this year. I mean, Air Force has been kind of down for the last 8 to 10 years. I mean,
It's
for a while there, they were the service academy that was, winning 9 games a year, and they were kind of the team to beat as far as that went, and they've kind of fallen off, and of course Army was the team to beat last year in service academies. They graduated a lot of talent off that team, and they haven't really rebounded this year. This one, I can see this going either way. Neither team has just played just outstanding ball. I think Army's played a little bit better lately. They started out pretty rough. I'm gonna take Army in this one, but I think it's gonna be a close game.
Yeah.
I mean, I just pulled up the numbers. Army's got 274 yards passing, or at least their starting quarterback got 274 yards passing on the season. So not great. The leading receiver's got 264 of those yards. So,
Yeah. So I'm going to take Air Force. And I'm going to take Air Force because I grew up next to an Air Force base. That's why I'm taking them. But I was just looking, and this was what I thought, but typically Service Academy freshmen don't play. That's not a hard and fast
Mm-hmm.
rule, but they typically don't. So Air Force only has 3. I didn't look at Armies, but Air Force only has 3 active freshmen on their entire roster. So um, the young man that I was thinking of is not active, but that's not a surprise. So and in fact, for those of you, Quacker knows this because he's our resident historian. But for those of you who don't know, it used to be that freshmen in college just didn't play. Period. For years and years
Mm-hmm.
and years, it was that way. And in fact, it took till the early 2000s before Joe Pa really relented on that old school kind of, it was like late 90s or early 2000s before Joe Paterno actually relented that. Even though the NCAA had lifted it, he was still, no, you're not doing it, and then I think eventually he did. But
Yeah. I can remember like Bobby Bowden when he was at Florida State for the longest time. He didn't play freshman either. I don't remember there was a quarterback that started for him as a freshman, and it was a huge deal. And I can't remember who it was now, but
well, I don't know which one you're talking about, but I know Chris Ricks took reps as a freshman. Now that was early 2000s, and Bobby Bowden I think got there in '79. And you're a few years older than me, so you probably remember some years I don't. But I remember Danny Cannell, Thad Matta. The last quarterback I do not remember is Charlie Ward, because he finished about a year before I was old enough to remember like college
mm-hmm.
football.
Yeah, that was when I started really getting into college football. Was the season they won the championship. That first one with Charlie Ward. And interesting enough, he won the Heisman.
What, in '93?
Yeah, I think so. Won the Heisman and never played a down of NFL football, but he played
13 years.
Quite a long time in the NBA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to meet him recently. He is a very, very quiet, soft-spoken guy. I say recently; it was about 5 years ago. And I spent about an hour with him because he actually he came to an event that my job was hosting, so I got to hang out with him for a little bit. Soft-spoken, nice, quiet guy. Really, really humble, and yeah, he's one of those guys. If you ever get a chance to go hear him speak or get a chance to interact with him, do it. It'll be worth it.
Yeah, he showed up on the Heisen House commercials, I think like last year, and I had no idea who he was. Like I had to look it up. I was like, oh,
what's funny? He's been on a few over the years. So when I met him, he was actually telling me a story about filming one of the Heisman House commercials. But they have 4 or 5 every season, and I think they've been doing it for close to 10 years. And so I didn't even realize that he had been on the one he was talking about. Then I went on YouTube and looked it up, and sure enough, there it was. So yeah, it's funny. Most of these guys, you think, oh, I haven't seen so and so on Heisman. I think the only one that we haven't seen, now you may have seen him. I haven't seen Johnny Football on a Heisman House commercial. That's not to say he hasn't been on one, but
haven't seen him, and I haven't seen Burrow hasn't made any either.
Yeah, well, that's
probably because Jay Daniels made one.
That's probably because Joe Burrow has been hurt. But the funniest one was the Reggie Bush coming out of the freezer after they gave him his Heisman back. Oh, dude. I don't know why, but that one got me.
Yeah, and that's the only one that Jane Daniels has been on is that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought there was one where they made him drive the car. But I don't know. Anyway, we're getting way off topic. So you've got Army, I've got the Air Force Academy. Staying in the service academies, Navy, North Texas. I'm taking North Texas, the home team in this one.
Okay. I don't hate that pick at all, but I'm taking Navy.
Well, that's part of why I did, because I knew you couldn't resist. All right, so we're gonna move quickly, and I know that we're not giving a lot of analysis, but we kind of got derailed there. We're gonna move quickly to the SBC. We've only got one game. What's that?
Tulane, UTSA. They're at the half right now. Guys, Tulane is 6-1, 3-0 in conference play. UTSA is 3-4, 1-2. UTSA is beating them 31-12 at the half.
Well,
so
Green Wave's going to come back. I'm calling it right now. Can we have a mid-game pick? Mid-game selection. I'm taking a Green Wave to come back and win. I'm not kidding.
I think.
Write it down.
I think.
All right, so Cracker has the Roadrunners holding out to win this game, and I have got the Green Wave coming back to win. We'll see what happens. I'm feeling good tonight. All right, so Arkansas State at Troy. This game really only matters for conference purposes. Quacker, what are you thinking on this
one? Arkansas State. They were 1-3 before conference play started, and they've turned it around. Troy is coming in at 6-2, 4-0 overall. They're tied with Southern at the top of the West rankings. Yes, the Sun Belt still has East, West divisions. One of the few that still has divisions.
Just a handful left.
Yeah. I think Troy wins this one. But the way Arkansas State's been playing, I think they keep it close. I don't think Troy runs right and hides on this one. But if you're in the area, tickets are $16, so go watch it.
All right, so both of us taking the Trojans in this one?
Yep.
All right. All right, so moving quickly along to the ACC, we have got number 10 Miami going to SMU. So Quacker is going to talk about this in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and say my thoughts because they're brief. I think that SMU has sort of proven that last year was more of an anomaly. This is my personal opinion. I don't think Miami is as good as everyone thought they were at the beginning of the year, but I think they're definitely a solid top 10, top 15 team for sure. I don't feel that way about SMU. So I think it's a 10.5 point spread. Miami is the favorite. I've got Miami in this one big, but Quacker, you had some different thoughts on this, so explain that to us if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, SMU, their offense has been playing pretty well this year. It's been, for the most part, they've been in every game. That the only one the offense didn't show up in was last week when they lost to Wake Forest. I mean, they lost to Baylor 48-45, lost to their hated rival TCU in the Iron Skillet Bowl, 35-24. So like their 3 losses have been by less than 2 touchdowns combined.
Right.
So
but now name off their margin of victory though, because that's equally been slim, and that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Well, I mean, they beat Syracuse by 13. They beat Stanford by 24. Beat Clemson by 11. So, I mean, the other two, I won't mention them because they were not Power 4 schools. But I mean, this is not the same SMU team from last year. But I think that they have lost some talent off last year's team, and they haven't gelled as well as last year's. But it's only one conference loss, and I'm not saying that they can come out here and win this game, but they played well enough, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that Miami's not going to run away with this one unless the offensive line just gets overwhelmed by the front seven for
Yeah.
Miami.
So who's your
Um,
pick in this one?
I'm picking Miami, but I think it's like closer than
Close.
what the experts are saying.
Okay.
I don't
Do you have
know
your
that it's a 10.5 point.
Can you not so fast, my friend? Us.
Not so fast, my friend.
Because you said closer than the experts think. So, all right. All right. I'll get behind that for you. Hey, real quick, do the Roadrunners play in the Alamo Dome? Where do they play?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Alamo Dome.
I just flipped over from the NFL game and I noticed they were indoors, so I figured you would know. And for those of you who don't know, Quacker and I have a grandmother. His maternal grandmother, my paternal grandmother, meaning through his mother and through my father, you know, lived in San Antonio for many, many years. But Quacker, by proximity, I think knew more about her living there and probably was able to visit her more there because he was, you know, a few hours closer. So I figured you'd have your finger on the pulse of UTSA a little bit more than I do. So,
You know, I got to meet some of their fans in 22 at the Conference USA baseball tournament. I bought all season pass or all session pass because it was at Southern Miss. It was Southern's last year in the conference, so I was like, I want to go to this. This is, you know, I'll never get a chance to go watch us play in this tournament. I'd never been to one of those before, so I wanted to have a chance to go. And I got a chance to talk because where I was sitting, I like to sit on the first base side, and a lot of the UTSA fans and like the players' families were sitting right around where I was, so I got a chance to talk to them quite a bit, and you know, getting to talk to them about San Antonio, and you know, like, you know, my grandmother lived there for 25 years, and you know, you know, we used to go here and go do this, and um, you know, I would say stuff like, oh yeah, that's we love going there, we love doing this, and you know, it was really neat, and I mean, of course, you know, they're Texas people, so they're, you know, for the most part, they're super friendly and, you know, get along pretty well with them. You know, only time I ever pulled against UTSA is when Southern was playing them. So,
well, and also, I mean, Quacker knows this, but our grandmother, you know, lived in the North, you know, in her young married life, and then moved to a relative nowheresville for her at the time. It's not a small town, but it wasn't what she was accustomed to in Mississippi, and then moved to San Antonio. And how long was it before she sold her car because she just didn't need it because of the public transit? I mean, you know, she just totally adapted to wherever she was. And I do want to clarify, both for Quacker's sake and for Mississippians, where she moved to was not nowhere, but where she moved from in Auto World, Michigan, to the place she moved in Mississippi was culture shock, right? Had to have been in the, you know, early 60s. But it was definitely not, it wasn't a small town, but it was moving from a, you know, an industrial town in the north to moving to an industrial town in the south. And, you know, that had to be quite different. So, anyway, all right. So that's enough of our family talk for now. But right now my comeback bid is in trouble because UTSA is driving, although it is 3rd and 5, and my internet just went out, so it's paused. All right, number 15, UVA at the Fighting Marshawn Lynch's. Who do you got in this one?
You know,
or the Fighting Aaron Rodgers, or the Fighting Cam Jordans, whatever you want to, however you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a cross country trek for Virginia. I hope they're already over there at this point because
I'm sure
that's,
they are.
you know, quite a long trip they have to make here. This part of the problem with the current college football is this is a conference game, you know, and this is a cross country matchup. It's stupid, but Virginia's the better team. They've shown that over and over this year that they're a legitimate contender for the playoff. They're definitely a legitimate contender for the ACC championship game. I think Virginia goes in there and I think they take care of business. 5.5 point spread. That feels about right. I mean they've played most of the games fairly close. And with having to go cross country like that, that feels around right for me. So I'm gonna take UVA.
Yeah. So
I just think their offense has been consistent enough this year that it's going to travel. The weather out there is probably pretty nice, so it's not like they're gonna have to go out there and play in a monsoon or the snow or anything like that. So
yeah. I have a weird feeling about this game. I want to take Cal, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna stick with the Cavaliers in this game. But I look for
things
this.
do get weird in in Berkeley, but you know.
Well, I expect this to be a close game. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the Golden Bears come out on top, but I'm with you. I'm gonna stick with UVA on this one. All right. So let's head to Knoxville, Tennessee. We have got number 18, Oklahoma. Sorry, I got distracted because I was looking for my page. Headed to number 14, Tennessee. And you know, what's that term you like to use, Quacker? It's oh boy or boy howdy. Can you say that for us?
Boy howdy.
Boy howdy. All right. I've heard you say that a couple times. Boy howdy. Tennessee seems like they can't get out of 11 to 16 in the rankings. I don't know what it is, but they've just sort of floated there, you know, in that little range. Tennessee's a 2.5 point favorite, which means they are a what, Quacker?
Home team.
A home team. Exactly. That's what it means. I expect Tennessee to win this game by multiple scores. I don't think it's close. I think it could be over by halftime. Yes, I respect Oklahoma. Yes, I think Oklahoma's good. I think Tennessee makes a statement in this game.
Think so?
I do.
I don't. You know, John Mateer he's playing a little bit better, right? I mean, he's still struggling coming back from his hand injury. I think he came back too early, honestly. I mean, he has not been nearly as good prior as he was prior to his injury. I think Tennessee wins this one, but I think it's a lot closer than what you're thinking it's going to be.
Okay.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if this one went to overtime, honestly.
All right, well, I'm going to write down that you think it could go to overtime, just in case it does. That way we have a record of that to reflect that. All right, and probably the game of the week in the SEC. And again, this is just a light week all the way across the board. But this is probably the best game in the conferences we cover. It is the best game. Number 9 Vandy is headed to DKR to play number 20 Texas. There's some question as to who's going to start for the Longhorns because we don't know whether Manning's out of concussion protocol yet.
He's still in there right now, but they according to Sarkisian, he's doing well.
See, and that's what's weird. I thought that concussion protocol meant you were automatically out of the game. I didn't know that you could be probable or questionable for the next week. I thought you were automatically out for one game. But I haven't that I'm not blaming. I'm not saying Texas is doing something wrong. I haven't seen that reflected at all this season. But in my head, that's what I thought. That was my understanding of the rules, was that if you were in concussion protocol, you were out for a game. but clearly that's not what's been happening. So, yeah. So here's what this comes down to: if this were a neutral sider in Nashville, I would take Vandy. If Arch Manning plays, I take Vandy. And I want to clarify something, because I know that Quacker and I are in agreement on this. I do not blame Arch Manning for the trouble that Texas has had this year. But the Texas backup has looked good in the few moments that he's come in. I actually feel like it might help Texas if Arch is out, not because Arch is the problem, but because they need something fresh. They need a different style of play for whatever reason. And I want to be clear about something. The Patriots needed a different style of play when Tom Brady got hurt and Matt Castle played. Well, Matt Castle never did anything after that. So, no, I am not saying that Arch Manning is the problem. I want to clarify that over and over and over again. But for whatever reason, the backup has looked sharper and more crisp when he's come in this season. So I am going to conditionally, it's not really conditionally, I mean, this is my pick. I'm going to pick Vandy to win the game. But, man, I feel like Texas has a really good chance to win this one. Like a really good chance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm torn on this one. The Vandy story has been really good this year. I mean, they are a legitimate contender for the playoff. I don't know that they have a shot at making it to Atlanta, but I mean they're still in contention. It's just the teams ahead in front of them. What's going to happen there? I don't know if they have.
Before they played LSU and Missouri too, though, and they won both of them. You know, I mean,
yeah. Trying to pull up their.
I mean, they don't have an easy end of their schedule. They've still got to play Tennessee, Texas. I think they might have
Auburn.
Well, Auburn's a win, I think. Honestly.
Yeah, it's at home for them, so it's a Nashville game. So, yeah, after this, and they only have one more road game because they got Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. They should win the Auburn and Kentucky games. But, you know, ahead of them as far as standings go is Texas A&M and Alabama. It's probably not going to see a loss from either one of those teams. They'll probably both go in undefeated in conference play if they don't play each other.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Should Vandy win their last 4 games, they're in the playoff, Atlanta or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're in.
Yeah. What I was saying though was like they probably don't have a shot for Atlanta, but I still think they have a legitimate shot at the playoff.
Sure.
Because I think they can beat Texas. I think they can beat Tennessee. Now Tennessee may be the hardest test on the board as far as like just head to head, just the way Tennessee's been playing on the offensive side of the ball all year.
So think about this.
I know Vandy's defense has been good, but
so just as a thought exercise, let's say Vandy wins this weekend, and then I think you and I agree they probably beat Auburn and Kentucky and Nashville. That means they head to Knoxville for the last game of the season. If they win, they finish their regular season 11-1.
Mm-hmm.
At Knoxville. How much juice do you think that game has for both teams?
Yeah, because I mean, if they run the table up till the Tennessee game, they're coming in as a high ranked team as well.
And guys, we're only talking about them winning 3 more games. Like they're already 7-1. This isn't like some pipe dream. We're talking about them beating Kentucky at home, Auburn at home, and Texas on the road. And yes, I get Texas on the road's a big asterisk, but it's not as big as it was last year. So this is not an unreal scenario that we're talking about.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Texas in this one. Just so we'll have a different pick here. But it's not a pick that I feel just great about.
Well, I feel terrible about the fact that you picked Texas because I agree. I think this game is going to be really close. So yeah, so that's it for our games this week. Not a lot of games, but what did we talk about before the episode started? Quack. Normally, when there's not a lot of good games, really crazy things happen. All right, so that's it for college football. Pop quiz. Do you know why I am excited right now?
One quick second. The Sunbelt had a game going on tonight. Marshall at Coastal. Coastal's got a 10-point lead in the third quarter, 37-27. They have scored 20 points in the third quarter. Has Coastal. So
look at that.
Got to keep an eye on that. Yeah. So yeah, I know why you're excited.
Hold on. UTSA has already scored a touchdown and now has an interception that looks like it's gone back almost to midfield. So it's not looking good for my prediction, but I'm gonna stick with it. All right, so tell me why I'm excited.
Because college basketball starts up in what are we, Thursday here?
The next,
4 days.
The next time,
5 days.
The next time we have an episode of Alumni House, it will be college basketball season. Now, that's bittersweet for me. It's bittersweet because I love college basketball, so that's sweet. The bitter part is that means the NFL's halfway over, college football's 2/3 over, so that sucks. But November in college basketball is traditionally, over the last 20 years, really awesome. December sucks. December for college basketball is like, why even have it? But November is usually really fun. And it's going to start off with a top 15. I don't know if you know this, but a top 15 matchup between Arizona and the defending national champion Florida Gators are playing on Monday night. So that, and I think that's
nice.
I think that's the headliner for this week.
Is it a neutral site?
Yeah. It's one of those. It's like some tip-off classic something or another. Hold on, let me look at the details. I was reading about it today. It's in Las Vegas. It's the Hall of Fame series, whatever that means.
Okay.
But yeah, number 3 Florida and number 13 Arizona. So, and that's not the only good game. There are several, but they don't, for some reason, my app doesn't have the top 25, the rankings assigned to the teams yet. So, even though the AP poll is out, but yeah, I love college basketball. If you didn't follow us last year, that's huge for me. Quacker's a fan too, but where he would say he's a bigger college baseball fan, I would say I'm a bigger college basketball fan, and that's how we balance, each other out. I would say my fandom of college basketball rivals my fandom of college football. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited about the fact that right about the time I'm getting depressed about college football ending, I've got my other sport coming in to save the day and keep me from having boring Saturdays. So
that looks like it's the only ranked matchup for the first.
Well, it's hard for me to tell because the app I'm looking on doesn't have any rankings next to any teams. So
well, I've pulled up the web page on my computer, and
I knew that was the headliner for Monday, but I didn't. That is weird that it's the only one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it though.
And it's on TNT/True TV, so it'll feel like a real NCAA tournament game. But yeah, so all right, Quacker. This is our last Alumni House episode before this happens. So go ahead and tell me favorite. So most underrated and most overrated Halloween candy. Go.
Overrated and underrated. I'd say the overrated would be the Butterfingers, and I love Butterfinger, but here's why: when you get them fresh, they're awesome. If they got any kind of age on them, they're gonna destroy your teeth. And by the time you get the Butterfingers out of the candy, it's done got old. So that's probably the most overrated. Underrated. I like those. I don't know what they're called, but it's those ones that come in like the orange wax paper. They have like a little peanut butter flavor to them.
I know what you're talking about. I agree, and I don't know what those are called either. I don't know if I would have gone there, but I do like those, and I do think they're underrated. So that's a good pick for underrated. So overrated, like for sure is the Mars bar, like 100%. But underrated is the classic Snickers. Like, who doesn't like a Snickers? Everyone takes the Snickers for granted, but the Snickers, like, if you really think about it, has everything you need in a candy bar. Everything. And it will invariably get a piece of peanut stuck in your teeth every time you eat one.
It was marketed as a meal replacement back in the Great Depression. So,
well, and hey, but before she died, Betty Ross was doing the Hungry, Why Wait commercials. Is that her name, Betty Ross? No,
Betty White.
Betty White. I don't know why I said Betty Ross.
She did the flag.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. So, all right. Well, my hopes of Tulane coming back are crumbling, so we're gonna get out of here on that note. I'm gonna stick with my pick, even though it's looking bad. We will see you guys on Monday, but before we do, Quacker, where can people find the show?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube at Alumni House Podcast. On Twitch, it's all one word, Alumni House Podcast. And then on X, you can find us at Alumni House Pod.
All right, and you can find our handles below our pretty faces right here for X. As always, thank you guys for joining us on the Alumni House, and we will see you on Monday to talk about the Week 10 in review. Have a great night.
We'll be right back.